Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another UFC fight prediction video. In this video, I'll be predicting the full card of fights for UFC Fight Night, Lewis versus Teixeira. So without further ado, let's get to our first fight on the card. So scroll all the way down. So first fight we have in the lightweight division, we got Mike Davis versus Mitch Ramirez. And how do I feel about this one right here? Is I'm going average confidence Mike Davis to beat Mitch Ramirez. I feel like Mike Davis is just the better fighter everywhere. I feel like he's the better striker. Also, he should be the longer, taller guy. Is he younger too? No, they're the same age, basically. But yeah, he's taller by an inch. And has an inch and a half reach advantage. More UFC experience, more UFC wins. And yeah. So I think he'll be the better striker, better wrestler here. And I could see him putting Ramirez away, but probably go the distance. Yeah. I could see it going in a stop. I'll predict the decision here. I feel like this will be a good bounce back fight for Davis. I think Ramirez gonna give it his all, but I think Davis is going to be a step ahead the whole fight. So, in this one, I got Mike Davis via decision. Now, to our next fight, we have in the heavyweight division, we got Kennedy Nzechukwu versus Walter Walker. And how do I feel about this one right here? Is I'm going average confidence, Kennedy Nzechukwu to beat Walter Walker. I think Walter Walker is pretty much a one-trick pony. I feel like he's been putting the work to his striking. I feel like he's just kind of just a take you down, hold you down type of guy, maybe go for some submissions. Don't have great cardio. And again, this not very many options. Like, if he can't get you down, he just struggles and just looks very flat on the feet. His on the feet is pretty much swinging his weight at you. Like, the technique on the feet is very sloppy. And if you could stuff his takedowns, he falls apart or he just looks lost out there. I think Nzechukwu can extend him, can address the grappling. And I think he could put him away late, almost like a late second round TKO. I can see Walter Walker being an issue for the first round, just trying to hug him and trying his best to get him down. And maybe Nzechukwu kind of struggling with that early. But, staying composed. He's been there against, better guys. And get out of that first round. Make Walter Walker, pretty much give it his all. Because that's the style we that limited. Everything's a struggle. Like, you got to struggle to get down. Like, if you don't have him on the ground, like, what are you doing? You're screwed. So, Walter Walker gassed himself out in the first round, trying to go as hard as he can for the takedown. And Nzechukwu doing a good job of addressing the grappling. And then in the second round, stuff the takedown, start to stalk him, put the volume on him, break Walker down, and put him away late second round. So, in this one, I have Kennedy Nzechukwu via second round TKO. Now to our next fight, we have in the welterweight division, we got Chris Curtis versus Max Griffin. And how do I feel about this one right here? I'm going low confidence. Chris Curtis to beat Max Griffin. No real reason to put great confidence in Curtis. I feel like they're not that different, to be honest. Or are they? I guess Curtis is more defensive, but coming down to welterweight at this stage, is he going to have issues with the speed? Could be a thing. Both of them up there in age, 37 versus 39, two veterans, two journeymen. Yeah, Griffin's got good pop in his punches. He hits very hard, and he's been fighting at welterweight. Like, Curtis has fought at welterweight in the past, but he hasn't fought at welterweight recently in many years. So Griffin doesn't have the power to hurt Curtis. He has experience just like Curtis has. It's not like Curtis can go out there and wrestle him, and like Curtis has shown great offensive wrestling consistently. So this fight can go a lot of ways. Griffin can end out work. This fight can easily go to a split decision that goes either way. So no real reason to get super confident about this fight. I think the odds right now are kind of dumb from what I've seen, but yeah, I'll go Chris Curtis here. I think he's more defensive than better defense than Griffin. I think he is the better wrestler. I don't think either guy's going to use it much. And I think Chris Curtis will be able to land the heavier shots and do a good job of defending the heavier shots. So I think his defense is where I lean to him at. Both guys can pop, but I think Curtis, has better defense. He has better counter game, and I think that's what will win him the fight. But close competitive scrap, but Curtis doing just a little bit more and defending better. So in this one, I got Chris Curtis via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in the welterweight division, we got Jake Matthews versus Chidi Njokuani. And how do I feel about this one right here? Is I'm going low confidence, Chidi Njokuani to beat Jake Matthews. I feel like Chidi kind of going to have very similar, attributes to Kevin Holland in a way. Even though I think Kevin Holland's a much better fighter. I feel like Chidi's going to have similar benefits. Like at the higher weight, at middleweight, Chidi and Holland struggle with the grapplers. At welterweight, maybe the elite of the elite strikers are, the well-rounded guys at this weight class that definitely have better striking, probably going to cause them issues. Or, just really the creme de la creme grapplers. But you're kind of like this an in-between fight, kind of like what Matthews is. Or just kind of like a lower-run grappler. I don't think your grappling going to be, what beats them at this level. And I'm, saying Njokuani and Holland, but specifically Njokuani because this is the fight. So yeah, odds like the Sean Brady guys can cause him problems. Like the Bilal Muhammad can cause him problems. But maybe not like the Michael Chiesas of the world and some of these other lower tier wrestlers and the Parsons and people like that, the lower tier. But and also Matthews. So yeah, I think Chidi Njokuani is a much more fluid striker. He'll be the much longer fighter. I think he's taller, longer, rangier, and just a more dynamic striker, more technical striker. I think he could pick apart Matthews over the course of the fight because he even stopping Matthews here. But Matthews is tough. I think he'll make it gritty. He'll find a way to drag it to a decision. But I think Njokuani will do a good job of addressing the grappling. And then it's made him more consistent, more damaging striker throughout the fight, landing good knees to the body when Matthews tries to come in, land good rangy kicks at distance, land a jab, land a straight. And it's, again, just pick apart Matthews at all ranges in this fight as far as striking and do a good job of not allowing Matthews to get, clean takedowns or maintain clean takedowns. And even when Matthews tries to smother him in his cage, again, landing elbows, landing knees, and then circling out. So he's still doing damage and consistently throughout the round. And then when he's at distance, he's landing harder, and the judges are seeing that. So they're not really favoring or trying to factor so much of the fact that Matthews trying to hug him against the cage and not getting those significant damage, not getting no substantial takedowns, no substantial control, and Njokuani doing, the actual damage and consistently being the one, looking to do damage and dealing that damage over the course of the fight and beating Matthews here. So in this one, I got Chidi Njokuani via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in the strawweight division, we got Fatima Kline versus Melissa Martinez. And how do I feel about this one right here? Is I'm going average confidence Fatima Kline to beat Melissa Martinez. And I just feel like Fatima Kline is just the better overall fighter. She's the better striker. She's the better grappler. Melissa Martinez is kind of more like, that cardio kickboxer type of category. Like, she can put up a little bit of volume, but I was not impressed by her footwork, not impressed by her power, nothing in any fights I've seen from her. And I feel like Kline has better power. She has sharper boxing, just sharper overall striking. And she can also mix in the grappling there as well. Could potentially see a stop, but I think Martinez is going to be gritty enough to make it the distance. But I can see Kline put her in a lot of bad positions, both in the striking and in the grappling. But again, Martinez is going to, she got that toughness to drag her to the distance. But I think Kline's going to have much better work overall in all the disciplines. In the striking, the grappling, the clinching, everything. And just have an edge over Martinez and be able to beat her by decision here. So in this one, I got Fatima Kline via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in the women's flyweight division, we got Lauren. We got Lauren. I don't know what I'm saying. It is what it is. We got Lauren Murphy versus Eduarda Moura. And how do I feel about this one right here? I'm going average confidence Eduarda Moura to beat Lauren Murphy. Maybe the confidence is just a little too high, but it is what it is. I do think Murphy, at her best, is definitely a tough matchup for anyone, especially Moura. Where cardio can be an issue. And Murphy does have decent takedown defense. She does have good cardio. She can mix it up. And that could be the problem for Moura. But Murphy is like 41 years old and hasn't fought in 2 years. And probably contemplating retirement. So this is a fight where, she probably trying to fight out her contract, make some more money, and not fully there because she's definitely not going to get no belt. So when you're that old and for sure, and everybody know, you're not sniffing a belt. I could bet my life, no, I'm not going to do that. That's crazy. I could bet my life savings, not my soul or nothing like that. That's crazy. But even though I would win the bet, that's just dumb to do. But life savings, I would do that on Murphy to never touch no UFC belt. Not no PFL, not no Bellator, not no Invicta. But as far as UFC at this point in her career, she's not winning no belt. They could even add atomweight. She's not winning the belt. But yeah. When you're in that position, you're old, and you're clearly not going to sniff no belt. You're just coming back for a paycheck. No matter how much you try to delude yourself to think otherwise. But yeah, I think Moura, fresher, much younger, 31 in her prime. Up at 125, moved from 115 up, so she's not having the same weight cut issues and stuff. So fresher, younger, developing. I think she'll be a grind on Murphy. I think Murphy will be tough and gritty and make this fight, tougher than it should be because Moura's not all that great herself, but she is the younger, savvier fighter right now, active fighter. I think she'll be able to get takedowns on Murphy, land harder shots on the feet, and be able to outgrind the 41-year-old, 2-year, 3-year layoff Murphy to a decision victory. So in this one, I got Eduarda Moura via decision. Now for the next fight we have in the featherweight division, we got Nate Landwehr versus Morgan Charriere. And how do I feel about this one right here? Is I'm going low confidence Nate Landwehr to beat Morgan Charriere. And I have no idea why Landwehr is a plus 200 underdog. I forget what. Let's see if they got the odds on this thing. They have it. Sometimes they don't have something. But last I checked, I just put a bet on Landwehr at plus 200. So yeah. Morgan Charriere has not beat no one good. You can say, I feel like he beat that guy. That was very close to Shepe Mariscal fight. I think his name is Shepe Mariscal. Yeah, you can say, oh, that was close. I feel like he won that, but he lost. Last fight, he got dogged. It was a decision loss, but he lost. But he got like 1 or 2 wins in the UFC, and both of them were guys they brought in literally for him to beat. So his wins in the UFC are against guys they brought in to beat, or guys that he was supposed to beat. So I guess you could say the same thing here as guy he's supposed to beat, but no, it's a different thing. Landwehr he's not just this guy that is here and gone. He's not a scrub just brought in from some scrub league to get washed, and he's not some scrub that was brought in from a scrub league and was coming off a knockout loss or coming off this loss, and it's the case you're going in with a veteran who's been putting his skin in the game. Is Landwehr even coming off a loss? Nah, he coming off a loss, but yeah. Got to go Landwehr here though. I think he has kind of similar tendencies to Shepe Mariscal, where Landwehr will push you in all disciplines. He'll be boxing, he's gonna be in your face. And Charriere got power, but who has he stopped? Like he stopped cans, so. And also these cage warrior guys haven't been doing particularly well in the UFC either, so I think Landwehr can, fight Landwehr style and overwhelm Charriere. Not get, Charriere gonna be looking to land these big fancy stuff, and Landwehr just gonna be able to stay in his face, press him, and break him down over the course of the fight. I think it's gonna be a fun, exciting fight, but I think Landwehr is gonna be too close. I mean, just too smothering, too much volume, and too much underneath his nose the whole fight for Charriere to fight his game effectively. And it's not like Charriere really has such clean, polished anything. He kind of like a scrambly, kind of unorthodox, off the wall type of guy. So his hands will be down often a lot. I can see Landwehr even clipping him and dropping at points in this fight. And he had his constant giving pace, and also with that type of pressure and pace in the style that Landwehr has, he's also good at finding those opportunities where people just get sloppy. And Charriere has a lot of those things. So a guy with like Landwehr constantly in your face, constantly just willing to risk it all to be in your face, and with the skill and experience that he has, I gotta go Landwehr here, especially as the underdog. I'll say this will be another close decision, might be another split decision, but I gotta go with underdog here. And I think Landwehr definitely between these two thrives more in the type of fight that I feel this is going to play out to be. So in this one, I got Nate Landwehr via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in the light heavyweight division, we got Junior Tafa versus Tokkos. And how do I feel about this one right here? Is I'm going low confidence Tokkos to beat Junior Tafa. And Junior Tafa, he's cut some weight now, but has he improved his cardio? Has he improved his grappling? I don't know. I think Tokkos is the more well-rounded fighter. You definitely got to worry about the chin of Tokkos, but I think there's a big glaring hole in Tafa's grappling department. I think Tokkos can look to exploit that. And also cardio. Tafa's cardio had looked terrible even in the fights he won, and then he's supposed to win. So I think Tokkos could threaten him with the grappling and have great success there. And also if the fight goes on, I think that's only going to benefit Tokkos between these two. So I see Tokkos grinding out a decision over Junior Tafa, mixing in the takedowns. And if he can get it out of the first round, or if he can stop him, that's great too. But if he can have success with the grappling and also extend Tafa out of the first round, I think his chances go up tremendously here. So also, if you're not feeling Tokkos, it's a good live bet as well to look at this one. Or, maybe bet the under, but chase the live, or keep an eye on the live number, the live odds. But I got to go Tokkos here. I think he can mix in the grappling, have great success there, extend Tafa out of the first round, and zap what little cardio he does have out of him, and grind him out to a decision here. So in this one, I got Tokkos via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in the featherweight division, we got Calvin Kattar versus Steve Garcia. And how do I feel about this one right here? Is I'm going low confidence Steve Garcia to beat Calvin Kattar. Garcia has great momentum right now, and Garcia has great momentum right now, and Kattar has terrible momentum right now. But what am I doing? But I can never get too trustworthy of Garcia, with how negligent he is on defense and how his chin is not the greatest chin. And Kattar, at one point was a prevalent top featherweight for many years, but he's clearly on the downtrend right now. But this is definitely a momentum pick, but can't feel too confident in it. But I think Garcia's pressure and pace will cause issue for Kattar, and I feel like Kattar has definitely when you're offensive against him right now, I feel like he's kind of shelled up now. I feel like his confidence not there as much, and Garcia's not, unlike uses the law, he's not going to slow down. He's going to constantly be applying pressure. Like Law was looking at his work and kind of stepping off the gas, but Garcia, he'll leave those openings, but it's not like Kattar's a great counter punch. It's not like he got no check hook. It's not like he got no pull counter. He's more so an offensive fighter, but he's not a great defensive fighter or nor a great counter fighter. So Garcia can kind of get away with aggressive striking, mixing some takedowns. Again, probably not to great success with the grappling, but again, all of the work is just constant working. So Kattar can't be on the front foot attacking. And again, he's most dangerous when he's attacking. So if you could keep him defending and responding, that's a good place to be. And Garcia, I think he can do that for 15 minutes. And I think I'm going to say he's going to stop Kattar. It's constant pressure. I think Kattar's up there. Let's see how old Kattar is. 37 years old, kind of a bad spot to be in, riding a 4-fight losing streak. I think Garcia's going to be able to put him away, be very aggressive, constantly pressing him. And I'm going to say like a second round TKO for Garcia. Just overwhelm the older, worn down vet, lacking confidence, riding a 4-fight losing streak. I think Garcia just overwhelms with constant attack, grappling, striking, volume, throwing heavy heat. And I think Kattar quakes to that pressure and volume. So in this one, I got Steve Garcia via second round TKO. Now to our next fight, we have in the heavyweight division, we got Vitor Petrino versus Austin Lane. And how do I feel about this one right here? Is I'm going low confidence Vitor Petrino to beat Austin Lane. Going to say second round TKO. That seems the way the round that Lane likes to get knocked out in. He come on pretty strong in the first, then he gets knocked out in the second. Petrino's not nobody to be super confident, especially coming up to heavyweight for the first time. Also riding a losing streak, but he's a decade younger. He also was a big light heavyweight anyway, so he's not going to give him too much size. I guess he's still giving a lot of size because Lane is a big boy, former NFL football player, 6'6", so he will have 4 inches of height and will have, 2.5 inches of reach. But yeah, I don't think it'll be too big of an issue for Petrino. I think Petrino's going to be able to address everything that Lane is bringing. Just got to worry about getting his bell rung. But yeah, probably a fill-out process, but I feel typical process. Lane might have a good little bit of success here, but I think Petrino will be able to stay calm, pick his shots well, stay measured, stay composed. And then in the second round, going to start to see Lane make the similar mistakes, whether it be defensively or offensively, to see him start to check out again like as he has done in many fights. And I see Vitor Petrino being able to capitalize and put Lane away in the second round. So in this one, I got Vitor Petrino. I did it the wrong way. Vitor Petrino via second round TKO. Now on to our co-main event, we have in the welterweight division, we got Stephen Thompson versus Gabriel Bonfim. And how do I feel about this one right here? Is I'm going average confidence, Gabriel Bonfim to beat Stephen Thompson. And Thompson's up there in age, 42 years old. Yeah, 42 years old, not a great age. When is he born? 5 months. One day. He might even turn 43 this year, but don't quote me on that. But up there in age for sure. For sure. Going against Gabriel Bonfim, the 27-year-old guy, so more than a decade younger, has the grappling advantage. And Stephen Thompson's takedown defense and grappling defense has been getting worse over the year, especially with people seeing it, been able to study it, and been able to follow through with it. And then other people saying that they're doing it as well and follow through with it. Yeah, I think Bonfim's a solid enough striker. He's had that little tough loss where his cardio failed him, like he wasn't able to just run his opponent over. And he's learned his lesson. Like I think it was the Chaos Williams fight, he picked the shots well. He found, he didn't force nothing. And when opportunity presented itself, he got the takedown and he found the submission and got his opponent out. So I feel like similar approach here. Like Thompson's very dangerous, very in and out, very experienced, very crafty, very accomplished. But I think Gabriel Bonfim will be able to pick his shots well, then find the timing, get the takedown, and dominate Thompson on the ground. And I'm looking at a second round submission for Gabriel Bonfim. Again, this learned his lesson, improving as a fighter, mix up the strikes, find a grappling, break Thompson down, rinse, repeat second round, but this time able to put the stamp on Thompson in the second round via submission. So in this one, I got Gabriel Bonfim via second round submission. Now to our next fight, we have in the heavyweight division, we got Derek Lewis versus Taliesin Teixeira. And how do I feel about this one right here? We're going low confidence, Taliesin Teixeira to beat Derek Lewis. Yeah, it's definitely a fight where Derek Lewis can still very much win. Definitely don't count him out too much. Definitely don't go too much investment in Teixeira. Maybe just leave the fight alone. But yeah, go with Teixeira. He's a much younger fighter. He's like 27. Now he's like 25 versus a 40-year-old Derek Lewis. Will be much taller with 4-inch height advantage. 4-inch height advantage and a 4-inch reach advantage to match. But yeah, this is a big step. Like you got a gimme fight, and then you get jumped to fighting a long-time ranked heavyweight who's really only lost to pretty much the best guys in the weight class. So big step up. But Derek Lewis, not like he's a one-dimensional fighter. he knocks you out or you knock him out, basically. Basically. Up there in age. And I do think Teixeira will be able to put away. And I think, funnily enough, like you would think, oh, Lewis, the way his style, his biggest issue has been grapplers. But if anything, most of Lewis' losses have been to strikers. Like, who he lose to? He lost to Pavlovich, who struck with him. He lost to Mark Hunt, who struck with him. He lost to Cyril Gahn, struck with him. He lost to, what's his name? What's that fat other guy name? What's his name? But yeah, mostly strikers. I think like 6 of his losses were to like strikers. And only 1 loss was to grappling, I think, as far as in the UFC. Well, he also lost to, but he got a lot of losses, but like, how many losses he got? Like 12? And I say out of that 12, like 8 of them were to strikers. Maybe more. He lost to Matt Mitrione. He lost to that other little, what's that other guy? He lost him like twice, but he lost him once outside of UFC, Sean Jordan. So, again, he lost plenty of times to strikers more than he lost to grapplers. And I don't really expect Lewis to try to grapple here or have great success there. I just think Tafa Teixeira will have to use that reach. He's still kind of a little bit sloppy in places now because he's still so young and growing. But I think he'll be able to pull it together and put Derek Lewis away. I think Derek Lewis is going to swing and try to look for those big shots. If they're not falling, he don't get a knockout early. I think Lewis is going to lose confidence and be susceptible to getting stopped himself. And I think that's what happens. I think Teixeira's going to be swinging. They're both going to be swinging. Lewis is going to be swinging some big shots. If he lands it doesn't put him away, or he's not able to land those big shots like he's loading up for, I think we're gonna start to see Lewis kind of mentally check out. And I've seen that in fights. I feel like if Lewis is missing, or he's cracking you with his best shot. Like I feel like Mark Hunt fight, he kind of mentally checked out. He was cracking Mark Hunt with his best shots, but Mark Hunt was still there, and then he kind of mentally checked out. Junior Santos, he was hitting Junior Santos with some good shots, and Junior Santos was still there, but he got put away. So I feel like he mentally checks out some of these fights. And yeah, I could see that where he's like over swinging, or shots ain't landing, or doing what they want him to do. And Tafa Teixeira start to settle into the fight and start to pick him apart from range. And I just don't think Lewis is gonna really have the defense or anything else to really. And also, like, it's not like he's a volume striker. Teixeira is a big, long guy that hits hard. He might not be as clean as technical as Volko, but he hits much harder. So it's not like anything with Volko where you kind of take these shots. Like Teixeira starts to let him clean, and Lewis has the lack of defense that he usually has. No, we can see him either go out or just curl up to the power and size of Teixeira, and that's why I see kind of like, again, Lewis not really having the success he wants on the feet in the first round, or the result, because his result he wants is a knockout. And then Teixeira been able to capitalize and pick him apart, start to walk him down and keep him at the end of those long, lengthy arms, put some power on him, and put Derek Lewis away in the second round. So in this one, I got Tafa Teixeira via second round TKO. And so that concludes my fight predictions for the full card of fights for UFC Fight Night, Lewis versus Teixeira. And as always, thanks for watching. Peace.